Okay, as you may remember from last time where we left off, I'm using my other camcorder actually because the other one ran out of battery. As you may remember last time I was pointing out some of the components that you can get, DDR2, DDR1 and such. This is one of the older motherboards I was talking about before, and I did mention that in my last video. As you can see, RAM, you've got shitloads of components and stuff you can put into it. Now that's just the general motherboard. You've also got the BIOS battery for setting time and date settings and BIOS settings, things of that nature basically. So that's that, which is cool. Now, looking at a newer motherboard, just move some stuff over. This is a newer motherboard, as you can see. Backplates, well, the backplate's actually got padding on it. Backplate on this one did not have any padding at all, as you can see. So yeah. Now you've got this consideration here. Backplate's got a lot of padding and stuff on this. This is actually formerly used to be in my computer. Now it's got a lot more different features. Of course, DDR3 memory, which is obviously different slots. I don't have any DDR3 at the moment that I can actually show you, but yeah. Anyway, then you got the AMD sockets, which you can tell. Pins are there as well. Got the clips, which you can see. It's got the pins, the area for the pins to go into. So bracketing system to hold the cooler down as well. This is a pretty decent motherboard. This is an ASUS, the same as this one. More solid capacitors. I mean, these days they're making boards a lot better. As you can see, PCI Express. Take a note of that. Yep, PCI Express there. And of course heatsink brackets and everything else of that nature. So these there, basically, I mean, this is pretty much for the north and south bridge of the system. Now, difference between this is it's got a lot more SATA on it. It's got a USB 3 plug that goes straight into the board, so you can plug in your, for example, you can plug in, let's see, say you've got a header on your case, for example, you can plug that straight into there. Now, different things that you wouldn't, I mean, I was going to go through different things you would have on a board regardless. Depending on the board, of course, you'll have SATA ports. You'll have a combination of that. You also have headers for the switches and stuff on the motherboard, which are here. If you may not be able to actually see them, but yeah. These are basically your headers, grounding for your speakers, things of that nature. Hard drive accessibility lights, basically telling you whether a hard drive is going to light up or not, pretty much, along those areas anyway. So, what do we got? What else we got? On my new board, I've also got a couple of other switches, which are EPU and TPU. They're basically like setting switches that you flick if you want to save power, save certain power settings and things like that. I also believe, and I'm not sure about my board, but I'm pretty sure that my older board did have a area here, right here, that you could pull the BIOS chip off if you wanted to pull the BIOS chip off and basically get a new BIOS chip, or pull the old one out, put a new one in, basically. Which some of them were that way, actually, to be truthful. A couple of them at least. So what else? BIOS battery, obviously, same as the Intel. Now there's a difference between AMD anyway. Back plate, well, mostly likely. This didn't have internal video or an actual video source on the motherboard itself. It only had USB, FireWire, eSATA, and yeah, your 6 or 8.7.1 sound basically. These types of boards, like, this is a basic board. This is more your do the comparison anyway. You got the full. This is. Well, I wouldn't say this is, this is probably about a full ATX, this is probably about a full ATX board size, just roughly there. Then you've got like an actual server size, which is twice the size of that, going outwards anyway. And this is, of course, I would classify this as maybe a micro, no, this wouldn't be a micro, this would be like a in-between size, basically. Micro ATX maybe? Half ATX, probably half ATX for this one, because it's, well, no, actually it might be, no, probably be a micro most likely, because there's only 2 slots. Normally you'd have 4 slots on your board. Like if it was a full KTX, you'd have four slots to fill in RAM. I know with some of the Intel ones they actually use, there's slots on either side, basically either side of the processor. But that's for Intel. That's for an Intel processor. What else have I got? Okay, you got speakers, sound outputs, USB outputs, you name it, it's all there. Then you've got combinations of different chips on here. They're obviously for different chipsets. You've got your VIA chipset for sound and things like that. 7.1 sound already built in, local Ethernets, USB ports on the back, eSATA obviously on this one. I don't think there was eSATA on the Intel because Intel's a bit of an older board than this one. This is more modern. This being a more modern board, it actually has a lot more solid capacitors. You can notice the build quality actually has improved over time, which for a while the build quality wasn't improving as much as I thought it would. But I mean, saying that, this is a mid-range board, so I did spend a relative amount of money on it at the time when I did buy it. So, I mean, even for mid-range board, you go in between them anyway. But okay, so you got that. Fan headers for your CPU fans and other fans in that area. You got, sinks. I mean, normally when you're doing like a third-party heatsink, if it's say related to cooling, water cooling or something of that nature, with water cooling in the sense of things, water cooling, most of the time you'll have to remove these brackets. Most of the time, there are certain water coolers from Corsair, I believe, that you actually have to remove these. So yeah. On the other hand, with this one, you can have a screw-down heatsink, and most of the time, I'd have to actually find one, but I don't know whether I've actually got one lying on the table. Sadly, I don't think I do. But normally, with your Intels, they have a plastic clip system that goes around, before it connects into there. Now, I really don't like that system personally. I find it frustrating as fuck because it's annoying when you're trying to put the damn thing on. Firstly, because you get more likely to break the clips, and it's easy to do if you're not careful. So, and it's frustrating when you're trying to get something to fix. But I mean, okay, if you're careful, sure. But I mean, it still frustrates me. I don't like the clip system. I've never really liked it on the Intel chips. I don't mind Intel chips. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't have anything against an Intel chip as a personal preference for people, whether they game or whatever they do. But yeah, that's the reason I don't like that system and the way they've done it. But I do like the screw-down systems where you just screw down the clips on either end, which I've been using. I've been buying a lot of those. I've bought a few of those for the machines that I recently built and sold, which I'm finding they're a lot better to use in that sense of things. Okay, so we got UEF BIOS. This has got a UEF BIOS, which is user interface BIOS, which is basically you can use your mouse, you can interact with it. It's got graphical user interface basically, and this one on the other hand has the straight old-fashioned type thing. Just save your settings. And, yeah, it's just plain old BIOS. But yeah, I mean that's the oldest type BIOS, but I mean that's still a common BIOS that's going around. If you haven't bought anything really modern, or if you bought a reconditioned computer. What else? Okay, I'm just trying to think. I mean, just generally speaking, when it comes to parts, like I mean, you go. Okay, this is your PCI Express, PCI, PCI 16. Normally these later ones are PCI 8, or most of these, the second ones, even if it is SLI, they're PCI 8 most of the time, or they can go to 16 depending on the switch between them. PCI 1, PCI Express 1, which this is PCI Express 1, these two, which is good for SATA cards and things like that, and solid state drive cards that go into those type of slots. What else? I can't think of anything really big at the moment, but I mean there's quite a few bits and pieces out there. But I mean, most of this stuff these days is pretty much plug and play with most technology. I mean, in the sense of putting RAM in, clicking things into place. Only thing you got to watch with an AMD CPU is that you don't bend pins. So you just got to be careful when you're handling the CPU, which is recommended. What else? And yes, I have managed to bend a couple of pins in my lifetime. I have also managed to unbend them on some of the CPUs I've come across, so it wasn't all bad. But yes, it's not fun when you bend pins on a CPU, trust me on that. It's frustrating when you bend pins on a CPU, it frustrates the hell out of you. I should also mention there's some RAM that I came across, which this is some stuff that I got from some people I work with. It's a charity place that I work with, charity computers. They're changing their name at the moment, so I don't know what they're going to be in the future. But anyway, okay, so you got, now, I'm not sure what it is. It looks to me like it's actually might be a type of server RAM, because it doesn't match up to DDR2, and I've tried to match it up to DDR3, and it doesn't match up to DDR3 either. So I'm thinking that it might be actually some server RAM, and it's not even close to DDR3, nowhere near it. So yeah, it's completely useless. No, in that sense of things. So I'm guessing this is server RAM or proprietary. You can get, and most people don't realise this, but you can get proprietary RAM, as they call it, which is basically a RAM that's designed for servers and things of that nature. Most of the time with stuff like that, it's because the companies just wanted to make things a little bit different and a little bit better in some respects. But I mean, in the long term of it, you look at, well, I don't know, there's a few server companies that did it when they released the Xeon chips and all the other chips that they released on and off. Percentage of those chips, when they released it, and some of those chips and motherboards, they had a certain requirement in certain situations. So yeah. Alright, so then you got PCI Express, as you can see, which you can always tell the difference between PCI and PCI Express. PCI is that configuration, and PCI Express is that configuration. Now, aside from PCI Express, also got SLI bridges as well. Now, these are for bridging two video cards together to combine the processing power between the two of them, basically. Now, what else? Just trying to think if there's anything else that was particularly important. I mean, just mainly just looking at the new boards, old boards, combination of. A lot of the new boards are having the new user interface BIOS, which is excellent, by the way. Quite cool and quite well done, by the way, as well. As you can see, BIOS chips there, there, as you can see. But I mean, to be honest and truthful, these are excellent systems. I mean, these are like not excellent systems, but I mean, once you get used to them, muck around with them a bit, have a bit of fun with them, you know, just generally start building, you start to get the gist of most things in most cases. I mean, you know, you have those moments where it's a bit harder, but I mean, at the same time, I haven't come across anything that's really stumped me badly. Maybe software issues. Software issues have stumped me more badly than hardware issues most of the time, because I mean, most hardware issues have a diagnostic side of them. Software, on the other hand, is a bit undiagnosable in some cases, in some cases, in some situations. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much that in its entirety, as you can see. Now, I mean, that's an AMD board. It's good quality. Reasonable quality, nice design. That's an Intel board, of course, that I showed you before. And of course, the difference between graphics card, as I said, you've got your basic graphics card, which just has the fan, the cooler itself, and no required power. Or you even get ones without an SLI bridge. Now, SLI Crossfire, basically they're the same context, but I mean, Crossfire, this is just basically because AMD's gone with a different name. So you've got Crossfire X, which is like you can get a double panel which goes across there. You can also get that on the NVIDIA cards as well. So you've got NVIDIA and ATI. It's two different companies that you can work with. This is basic. What's this? 4870, which I'm probably going to end up putting into something at some point. I'm not majorly rushed to do it though, but might be an idea. What else? What else have I been mucking around with? Well, in the past lately I've been mucking around with a combination of different items, whether it be ATI cards, NVIDIA cards. I've also mucked around with proprietary systems, laptops, servers, on and off, some of the older technology servers as well, which used to have SCSI and just basic IDE, and yeah, so I've mucked around with those on and off. I've also mucked around with a lot of new technology too. Some of the latest stuff coming out as well. I've looked at tablets, but I haven't actually fully taken apart phones, tablets, and things like that. I do probably have a couple I could take apart, just out of curiosity because I don't need them anymore, and you know they might be not functioning well, or I just might take them apart because may as well just find out what makes them tick anyway. So anyway, stay tuned for that. That'll come up. I'll see if I can do a little some tutorial videos on taking things apart, putting them back together. Also, Xbox controllers. I'm thinking of doing something with them as well. It's sort of making me scratch my head, but I'll probably end up doing just, you know, being able to take an Xbox controller apart, put it back together. I never really done mod chip things, but I do have one modded controller, but I didn't modify it myself. I just changed the case on it because the case got cracked. I was driving one time and yeah, it got broken that way. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, anyway, stay tuned, and I got more videos coming up. Obviously, there's going to be a shitload of stuff I'm going to go through. Probably even look at some older technology if I can find some more stuff, but I'll show you the different types of RAM, as well as DDR2 laptop RAM and DDR3. I'll try to get some different types of RAM to show you the different types of RAM that there are available these days. So yeah, anyway, stay tuned. Thank you very much, YouTube, and thank you kindly anyway. Also USB 3.0, which is quite marvellous. I've been using it lately on my own computer of late, so it's been pretty cool. Alright, thank you anyway YouTube, and please stay tuned. Make sure you tune into my channel. I've got more tech stuff coming up. I don't know, not building something out of this. I don't know what the fuck I'm not building out of it. Well, I know what I might end up. I'm going to end up building a nice gaming machine out of this one, to be truthful. Probably most likely, or I may rebuild it into my nephew's case. The thing is, though, I'm sort of scared to do it because of just how much dust there might be in my nephew's case. I'm sort of worried about that, so I'm going to reluctantly leave it off till later, till I feel the need or the braveness to actually go and have a look and see exactly what condition the case is in any point anyway. So, alright, thank you. Bye.